Apoya al Perú. Planta chino, planta chino.
Roberto CHURA is selling bamboo plants. The businessman turned street vendor says he'll do whatever he can to put food on the table for his wife and children.
Antes yo tenía un negocio.
I had a small business, but when the pandemic began, I tried to stay home with my family and lost everything. Now I have no choice but to sell anything on the streets to make only $6 or $8, which is not enough for food.
Peru's National Statistics Institute says nearly 7 million Peruvians lost their jobs as a result of the government restrictions to prevent people from getting infected with COVID-19. That's 40% of Peru's urban population out of work in the last 3 months.
There's so much poverty and no work. We have to sell whatever. There's no money to eat.
Businesses, especially in retail and services, have gone bankrupt. Analysts say it's the worst recession in more than 100 years, throwing Peru's economic achievements back 10 years.
The effects are brutal. It's the worst recession since the 19th century. The economy was shut down completely. In 12 of 24 regions, there wasn't one COVID case. Instead of isolating them, the quarantine was also imposed on them, which reveals a lack of understanding of the effects of such a measure.
Since the pandemic began, the government approved an aid package of nearly $36 billion to reignite the economy, including tax reliefs and cheap loans. The government is handing out more than $200 in subsidies to more than 5.5 million poor Peruvians. But the distribution process is slow and inefficient, and it doesn't reach everyone who needs it.
For any historic context, including during a war, the numbers are staggering and the long-term effects are huge. Loss of human capital, children with education and malnutrition problems. We'll see the effects for the next 10 or 15 years.
Since June, COVID-19 cases have doubled, the worst tally in Latin America after Brazil. In the last 2 weeks, more than 100,000 Peruvians were infected. The government reimposed curfews and banned family gatherings. Most Peruvians say they want to avoid getting infected, but without food on their tables, the choice is tough. Mariana Sanchez, Jazeera, Lima, Peru.